A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
You're on Vision Christian Radio. It's Neil Johnson with you, the Tuesday edition of 2020, and a conversation over this next hour. You'll want to lean in a little closer to the radio if you have any connection to what might be a part of Australia's drug crisis right now. You might be having the experience either within your family, you might have had your own personal experience, there might be people in your community you know are dealing with all sorts of issues. Well, with Australia's epidemic of drug abuse continuing to rise, we're exploring today the principles of a Christian ministry that is renowned as Australia's hardest drug rehab centre. And their success speaks for itself. The leader of the rehab is formerly one of Australia's most prolific drug dealers. Now, you might have caught a recent Channel 7 Spotlight special highlighting the work of Shalom House in Western Australia. And there's a handful of properties, part of Shalom House. They're running those properties and they are full to overflowing on the eastern outskirts of Perth. The Channel 7 program highlighted the tough love approach to drug rehabilitation, where former gang members and drug dealers and addicts are trying to get clean. Well, today, Peter Lyndon James, the founder of Shalom House, is joining us to share his insights with us. Peter, I might say a special welcome back to 2020.
Well, morning. Welcome to you and your listeners.
Peter, right from the outset for our conversation today, Shalom House, you've got a foundation there in biblical Christianity, and tough love is the way you demonstrate some of that biblical Christianity. I mean, how do you reconcile the two? Talk to us about the faith foundations you have at Shalom House.
So we're unashamedly a faith-based rehabilitation centre. We don't rehabilitate Christians, even though we all know that they need it. But we are unashamedly a Christian rehab. We believe that God is God and that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And we do go to church. We do read the Bible, and we say to any person that wants to come to Shalom that we are a faith-based rehab. So you understand that if you're coming here, that we're going to go to church, we're going to read the Bible, start our day with God, end with day with God, and if you don't like the way that we do it here, there are plenty of other rehabs. So we don't force religion or Christianity down people's throats, but we try to share what we believe in and how we live our life, that our actions would speak louder than our words.
We might be wanting to put two and two together and say the fact that you have an overflowing facility and there's just not enough room to get more addicts who want to get clean free, that you're doing something right there, because I imagine that word of mouth is very important about how you can get real help to get free from your addiction.
Yeah, we currently have around 160 residents live in. Our residents live with us between 1 to 3 years. So we have a men's program, then we also have a women's program, and also have a women's and children's program. So a lot of the children or the mums, when they come in, they're children in the care of DCP or another family member. And around the 6-month stage of the program, we try to restore the children back into the mum's care. So obviously with women come lots of children, so yeah, we have a women's and children's program as well.
You recently had the special edition of the Spotlight program. Channel 7 came, and one of their journalists, Ben Harvey, he found it quite confronting, but he did immerse himself in your program there at Shalom House and then did a report on it. How do you reflect on his findings and the way that he presented the work that you do?
So originally they came out and spent a week, half hour with myself, and then just the rest of the week interviewing males and females of the program. At the end of the week, I sort of challenged Ben. I said, if you want to tell a real story, how about you come into the program for a week? So it was decided a few days later to come into the program. He shaved his head, lost his phone, and we done an intake on him, and we just moved him around the houses for the week so he could experience what it is the residents experience. And so he immersed himself in the program for a week. Himself is a crime reporter. He does a show called, I think it's Up Late with Ben Harvey, and sort of takes the mickey out of bikies and guns and drugs and But yeah, he come in and done a story for the week. Do I agree with everything that he put out? Probably not, but it was good that he humbled himself to come in and have a look firsthand.
I imagine that when you're letting loose journalists into your operation, you might expect that they might be looking for some areas of controversy. Did he suggest that there were some things that were controversial?
So haters will always find what they hate. I've done hundreds of tours through Shalom, and people who are haters will try and zero into the one thing that they hate and disregarding the 99 that is good. And what I said to Ben, I said, when you come in, I'm not going to control you. I'm going to give you open access. You can talk to everyone, do whatever you want. I literally didn't speak to him for the whole week that he was in here. I was away overseas at a drug conference in America. But I just said, please just tell the truth. And if we're not doing something that we should do, help us see what we can't see. So obviously he'd done some research. And when he come in, a lot of people say that we're a cult because we're Christian. And that we're in it to make money and all this sort of stuff. And so basically, I mean, he proved, he said, if we're a cult, we're not a very good one. But being a reporter coming from his background, guns and drugs and crime, and coming from the western suburbs where all of that is probably grown up with that glorified on TV, the drugs and guns and the spin that he put onto it sort of helped to build his own profile. But he done a good job. He done okay. He sort of told it as he sees it. But he could have stated the facts that we just are, we're a Christian rehab, we get ordered, we don't make money, we run on the smell of an oily rag, what we're doing is working. There's no rehab like ours anywhere in Australia, if not globally. He's run by the residents, so literally the residents run our program. We have doctors and psychiatrists and counsellors, and we're extremely professional, and we're a run ship that is 100% self-funded, but none of that was sort of put up there.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's going to be some things they missed, and as you say, you don't agree with everything, and perhaps some things that you'll say were misrepresented. And, of course, sometimes it can hurt when you're a Christian and you're leading an organisation like you do, to have the word cult bandied around might be a little hurtful. But, the thought of, when people are experiencing the tough love that you bring, the alignment with the thought that it's a little bit like a religious prison, I imagine that's something that, you've got to have this tough love approach, or you're getting people free and clean from drugs won't work. But if you do have this tough love approach, there's going to be some who say it's a cult or like a religious prison. Some of that can be a bit hurtful, can't it?
Yeah, not really, because the Bible says I follow a way which they call a cult. And when people who don't understand Christianity or God or faith in Christ, they would call anything that has a form of religion a cult. A cult tries to gather people. We try to kick them out. We want them to be productive members of society. We want them out in the community. And it's pretty clear that we're not a cult. But he's done a good job at least. It doesn't come from a faith background. And so for him to immerse himself in here and just as he saw it, he's done a right job. But it could have been more black and white, what's right and wrong. And the tough love approach, if people call telling your kids to get out of bed at 7:30 and make your bed, or wash your dishes, or clean your room, or go to school, and on the weekends do activities and go to church, if that's a tough love approach here. We try to replicate what normal people would do in the community. And so all my residents, they get out of bed at a certain time, they have breakfast, and then we do our Bible devos to start the day, and we go about work for the day, and at the end of the day, we cook tea and we go to bed. Saturdays, we'll do an activity, Sundays, and we go to church, and it's just a fixed routine. And so I'm pretty what do they call the word? I'm disciplined. I'm strict. Having spent 26 years in prisons and institutions from the age of 9, I used to get up every morning and get told to stand by your door for cell inspection, shirts tucked in, hands behind your back, no talking. And I've done that since I was 9, and I spent 26 years in and out of prisons my whole life. And so I probably run it a bit like a prisoner, maybe, I don't know.
Hey, I want to ask you about your own story too, because there's some things there that will capture the attention of listeners. We're going to come back and talk some more about those things after we take a very short break. But for listeners to be in touch with Shalom House, which is the organisation that Peter Lyndon James leads. He's the founder of Shalom House. We're talking about tough love. We're talking about drug addiction and how to get free from that. And I do want to open our talkback lines too. You might be looking for a tip or a hint or some insight into how you can help deal with some of the challenges you might have in your own family. You'll be welcome to join us. So our talkback line open on 1-800-316-316. Peter Lyndon James is our guest. To connect with Shalom House, shalomhouse.com.au to find out what they do and how they do it, and all about tough love. We're back with more in just a few moments.
Intervention is all about bringing you life-changing Christian events and solid Bible teaching that helps you grow your faith. But now, with the KCC One app, you can experience the impact of KCC events every day. Stay up to date with all the events happening at Katoomba Christian Convention. Enjoy daily encouragement and never miss another talk from the speakers you love again. Download the KCC One app from your app store or head to kcc1.org.au. Station sponsor.
Helping you make sense of life, culture and current events from a biblical perspective. 2020 on Vision.
1-800-316-316 to join in our conversation today. We're talking about tough love. We're talking about getting free from drug addiction. Our special guest this hour is Peter Lyndon James. He's the founder of Shalom House. It was the subject of a recent coverage on Channel 7 on one of their spotlight stories. And Peter is with us, and he's taking calls too from 1-800-316-316 if you'd like to join in our conversation. Very shortly we'll take some calls. Hey, but I want to hear about your own story here, Peter, because you mentioned something like 26 years you spent in and out of prison. Give us in a nutshell, Peter Lyndon James story.
Yeah, so basically I'm second eldest of 5 kids. I grew up in the Bronx or the suburbs in Perth, West Australia. My dad had run off with a babysitter when she was 15, left mum with 5 kids. Between the ages of 6 and 8, I'd moved probably about 15 different times. Mum got caught up with lots of different men and alcohol, and by the time I turned 8, Mum had gone into a drug rehab. All my brothers and sisters had gone with my grandparents. I tried to stay with Mum. And Mum, because of her addiction, used to get beaten pretty badly. False teeth smashed out of her mouth and blood eyes and all that sort of stuff. And she got out of the rehab, went back to the same man that used to beat her. And I went to stay with her. I come from a children's home back to Mum. And when I was 8, I was sexually abused by a gentleman at a caravan park. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. This man was molesting me. I had to pretend I was asleep. I remember walking out of the caravan back to Mum, and I heard a voice to tell you, Mum, and I heard another voice, she doesn't love you, she loves the bottle more than she loves you. And I remember thinking, that's right. And so I took away the right for my mum to speak them all away from me, and I started running away and living on the streets from the age of 8. And so I ended up going to multiple children's homes, and they'd put me in a children's home. I'd run away again. At the age of 9, they found me sleeping in a Good Samaritan bin at the Midland Gate Shopping Centre. I used to pick the lock and sneak and sleep in the bin. And they took me back up to the children's home, and the counsellor there, my dad was there. I hadn't seen Dad in 2 or 3 years. And I just walked in, here's Dad, and this lady said to me, she says, you can either go live with your dad or you can go to Longmore. Obviously, your parents, you don't like it here, and you're wasting your time and resources. And I looked at my dad, and again I heard another voice saying that he doesn't love you anymore. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's right. So I said, I go to Longmore. So they ended up driving me to Longmore, and I didn't know that Longmore was a prison. It was with bars and 12-foot high fences, and all the way there from the Parkville Children's Home to Longmore, I heard this voice, you're making a mistake. But I heard another voice saying, no, stuff and make him pay for what he's done to you. If it wasn't for your dad, the whole family would be together. And so I remember that as a 9-year-old. But they took me to Longmore, and when they walked me inside, they stripped me naked. They put Nick cream on my hair and gave me they set up pajama pants and 6 comic books and a towel and stuff. And they marched me down the prison cells. And I'll tell you what, as a 9-year-old kid, I'd never been so scared in all my life. I got put into prison because I wanted my mum and my dad. I just wanted to be normal. I couldn't understand why our whole family was falling apart, why Dad had run off and Mum had choose alcohol and drugs over us. I couldn't understand why I was molested. But they pushed me in the prison cell, and I threw my stuff on the bed. They locked the door. I can hear them walking up the street. up the corridor, and I jumped on the bed, grabbed a hold of my pillow, and started crying, saying, "If you let me out now, I'll behave. I promise I'll be a good boy. I promise I'll be a good boy. I won't out again." And I grabbed a hold of my pillow and rocked side to side. I ended up spending 3 months in that prison. I got up the next day, and I was starting to mingle with the kids in the prison. There's about 170-odd kids, 180-odd kids. And it was the first time in 3 years I finally had a place to call home. And all these kids all had stories like mine, that mum had chosen alcohol, or mum had chosen men, or dad had run off with a woman, or dad was on drugs, or they'd been molested. And I felt like I finally had a place to belong. For the last 3 years, I didn't belong with mum, I didn't belong with dad. But the problem is those kids in that prison had done stuff that I'd never done before. And when I got out of prison, after 3 months, they put me in another children's home. I met some of the kids that I met in the prison at the children's home, and I started doing what they did. I started using drugs. I started breaking houses and stealing cars. And I became a street kid from 1978 or 79 to 1988. I spent 7 years locked up in Longmore. I'd be out for a month. I'm back in for 11 months, be out for a day once, and back in for another 6 months. I spent 7 birthdays in a row in Longmore. I graduated to Riverbank, which is another prison. I spent nearly 2 years in there, from the age of 16 to 18, and I've also spent time in all the prisons in Western Australia as a prisoner.
So Peter,
26 years, yeah.
From childhood and the disruptive, dysfunctional family environment that you came from, and the suffering, that abuse, and into juvenile detention, and in and out of that, experimenting with and using drugs, eventually into jails, you eventually had a turnaround. And sometimes we'll talk about that turnaround as a dramatic encounter with God. How do you describe what happened to you that actually turns a child with a career as a drug dealer and in and out of jail to have a turnaround in what might be the start, an encounter with God? How do you describe that time?
Well, I was fast forward to 1999. I've just done a year in prison. I got out of jail and I thought I'd sell drugs full time for a living, and within 6 months I was selling 2.5 kilos of meth a day, heaps of drugs and guns. I got up one morning after 16 days no sleep, and the helicopter was over the roof, CRG, shotguns, bulletproof vests. They come in and they raided the house. My wife, well then I had 2 kids, my wife was laying on the ground with a gun to her head, and I got charged with handguns and sentenced to sell and supply. I got out on bail. Having spent 26 years of my life in institutions and prisons, my whole life, I just wanted to be a geek. And now I'll explain. A geek is a normal person. It's a productive member of society. It's one that is free from the influence of drugs and substances. As a kid, I would have dreamed to running up the corridor and jump in bed with mum and dad for a cuddle. I would have given anything to go to one school, not 16 different schools. I went to 16 different schools and I made grade 6. I mean, dad teach me how to lift a toilet seat, to do a wee, to go on a family holiday, to play sports. My whole childhood was stolen from me, and I couldn't understand why, the life that I was living, why couldn't I be like other people? I hated what I did. I hated the crimes that I committed. I hated the drugs that I used. I hated that I had kids. My kids are going to go down the same direction that I was. And when I got raided by the coppers, I remember chucking up a prayer. Now, I don't come from no faith background, but I didn't believe then that I was a fart in the wind. I reckon that when I die, there's something there. And I remember I get raided, got out. My wife got charged with handguns and stuff, and she's never done anything wrong in her life. She's a country girl. But I chucked a prayer. I said, God, if you're real, I need your help. And I tell you what, that's when all weird stuff started happening, mate.
You called out to God, and weird stuff started to happen. And what was it like? Was there like a contrast? I mean, you had all of these almost idealistic expectations of what your family could have been like, should have been like, and wasn't. And so how did those weird things lead you to an understanding that God was there and was interested and even loved you?
So at the time I was under surveillance. My house was bugged, my factory, everything was bugged. And after I prayed that prayer, I remember I got to the bottom of the bottom, prayed that prayer, and then I got in my car. I might have been the next day or the same day, and no one else was in my car. I had a nice big stretch Fairlane. And I started hearing these voices. And I've had psychosis and been up trees and roof spaces for 3 days, but I started hearing these voices, Peter, Peter, I want you to follow me. And I'm thinking, hang on, I ain't got the radio on. And then the car in front would tap on its brake pedals, and I heard this, Peter, Peter, I want you to follow me. And so I felt that I was supposed to follow the car in front. So I followed the car, went left, right, and then it pulls up at a park, and it drives off. And I looked over in the park, and there was a mum and dad sitting on a picnic blanket with their kids having a picnic. And I heard a voice as clear as day, and it said, Peter, I'm offering you this. I've never had a picnic. You know? And I just sat in my car and I bawled my eyes out. I want that. I want that. Why didn't I have that? Why didn't I grow up with that? And I sat there and had a big sook in the car for like 15, 20 minutes. And then I got him in the car and I drove off, cleaned all the snot out of my beard. Sorry for the graphics. But I'm driving along again and it happened again and again. And the car in front saying, I want you to follow me. I want you to follow me. I follow left, right, left. And then I pulled up next to a brand new display home. And again, I heard this, the car drove off in front and I heard this voice as clear as day. Peter, I'm offering you this. I've moved every 3 months of my whole life ever since I've been a 7-year-old kid. Even with my wife and my kids, I've been around Australia 7 times. I mean, and wherever I go, I go. And I would give anything just to have one house and one home for my kids, my family, myself. And again, I just sat in the car and cried and drove off. And it happened like for 2 days. And I go back and tell my missus, and I say, something weird's going down. And she goes, oh, yeah, whatever. And then, so I thought, okay, well, maybe it's the coppers trying to play with my brain and wire my car. So I had a big VN 1500 Cruiser, brand spanking new, full tank of juice. And I got on my bike, booted out of my house, went through 150 metres of beach sand, got on the freeway, and I thought I'd lost them. And then I started hearing the voice, Peter, Peter, I want you to follow him in my helmet. I'm out in Neerabup, which is out on a country road. I'm 30, 40 k's from suburbia, sitting at 110 in my car. My bike just broke down, full tank of juice, new bike. It just stopped. I don't know how it stopped. I tried to fix it, didn't work. Got on the other side of the road. And I put my thumb out and started hitching. And then this young couple pulled up. They would have been probably 20, 21. And I got in the back seat and we started driving and I could hear this music playing. And I just started, I felt something funny in the car. And then out of the blue, this young fella, he turns around and he says, mate, I feel I've got to tell you something. And I said, what's that? And he says, God's telling me to tell you that he loves you and that he has a plan and a purpose for your life. And that was it, mate. It was like popping a balloon. I just started bawling. I said, let me out of your car. And so they pulled over the side of the road. I went in the bush and I just cried. And then I couldn't stop crying. I would have been there for about an hour. God heard my prayer, And I walked back out in the highway again, put my leather jacket on the side. Them days I used to have diamond rings and they looked like a right old buffet. And I put my thumb out. And because I still had to get to a phone to get my missus to pick me up. And this car pulls up. It was a black F-250 pickup truck. It had a Maori fella in there. He had black hair, tattoos on half side of his face, black F-250 flat top. And he says, bro, is that your bike back there? And I says, yeah. He goes, I got some rants. We'll pick it up, eh? And I said, no, man, I got to get home. Something weird's going down. And so I got in his car and heading towards the petrol station. Probably got a kilometre from the petrol station. He says, mate, I feel I've got to tell you something. And I said, what's that? And he says, mate, God's telling me to tell you that he loves you and he has a really strong plan and a purpose for your life. And I just cried, mate. That was the second person in the space of not even 5 k's,
Before the news, though, Peter, we were talking about weird stuff that was happening to you when you were seeking some level of relief from your own addictions and time in prison. You were hearing a voice. You had encounters with multiple people, and eventually you found your way into a church. Tell us about that experience as we just set up this part of our conversation.
Yeah, so I ended up getting 3 people in the space of 15 kilometres, each one different, completely different to each other, telling me how God loved me and had a plan and a purpose for my life. And I ended up going home and telling my wife what happened, moved out of the house, went into a motel and woke up and had a dream, and God says, you're going to tell people how to change your life. So I went to a church, gave my heart to the Lord, and from there everything started to change. And that was back in 2001.
Back in 2001, so we're talking 23 years of change to a point now where you lead Shalom House and there's 160 people many of them with similar stories to yours, who are looking to get clean from their own drug addictions. Hey, there's plenty to say, but I want to include listeners in our conversation here. Let's take some calls. Kaz is in Whyalla in South Australia. Hey, Kaz, welcome along.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Kaz.
How you
Hope
going?
you're well. Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, good. I just wanted to say a massive thanks for what Peter does. I mean, he's touched Wyalla's heart. He's touched my daughter's heart, and I just want you to keep going with what you're doing. God's got a plan for you, mate, and you're just brilliant. You just soldier on with whatever happens, and God's right by your side, Peter. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Kaz. I appreciate you.
Kaz, a very nice encouragement there. Thank you so much for your call. 1-800-316-316 to join in our conversation. Let's take another call from a grandmother of a drug addict who's in Donald. Hello, grandmother of a drug addict. Welcome along.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I just had a question for Peter. Right at this very current time, have grandson in psych hospital, detox, and I'm tidying his caravan up, trying to make sense of this mess that he lives in and washing clothes. His mother said, you shouldn't be doing all that. He should see when he's sober the absolute schmozzle his mind's in to leave in this just incredible mess. Am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing?
No, you're not. You're definitely doing the wrong thing. So I specialise in two things. One is helping people change their life, and the other one is showing families like yours how to help a person to bring them to a point where they want to change their life because they want to make it. And what you're doing at the moment is enabling him. You don't understand the drugs. The drugs turn the people that you love the most into the people that you hate the most, and you're not dealing with his son, you're dealing with the drugs. And you can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. So I do a lot of teachings. There's also a free video that'll show you exactly what you need to do, not what you want to do. And if you follow the instructions of the video, it can bring him to a point of change 100 times faster than what you're doing it. Because if you put 10 fingers up, I'll just be quick, those 10 fingers are options. There's your mum, your dad, your grandmother, your brother, your sister, or your girlfriend. And the other 5 fingers is mental health hospital, prison, morgue, or rehab. And what's happening is, he wipes mum out, then wipes grandma out, then wipes mum out, then wipes grandma out, then wipes sister out. Then one by one, all of you as a family, you're all getting busted and broken. You're all learning it the hard way. You're doing it the wrong way. It's bringing a whole heap of division into your family. You're all doing it wrong. So I'm happy to send you the video. It costs you nothing to the video. There's also an instruction manual. I've written a few books. One of them is called Tough Love, Tackling Drug Addiction and Seeing Change. But it's an instruction manual for you as a family to follow. If you follow it, you'll see the outcomes in life a lot quicker, a bit like Kaz who was on before. I've done lots of seminars throughout Australia, but you need to put this into practice.
Let me ask our anonymous grandmother of a drug addict, hearing something straight up and down, pulling no punches there, how does that make you feel?
Look, and Peter's right, and I'm sure he's right, but it just breaks my heart.
It does break your heart.
Yeah, so I sent a bag of clothes at the psych hospital, okay? Right or wrong. He wants his earphones.
One day it's a bag of clothes, next day it's money, next day it's paying a bill, next day it's taking him somewhere else. I mean, the Bible says the wisdom of God or the counsel of God or the instruction of God is in the heart of a man and a woman, and that a person of understanding draws it out. And when you pick up that bag, you hear a voice, you shouldn't do that. But then you hear another voice, but I can't, it's my grandson, I can't leave him out in the street.
Peter, when we hear this tough love, and we're thinking of our own family context, we're talking here about an abandonment, and I can hear your heart. You've got to make that abandonment so that you're faced with the ultimate choices.
I wouldn't say it's abandonment. Okay. You never give up on a person, ever. You catch up with them and give them a cup of coffee and have a burger at Hungry Jack's, but you never give them any money. If they're going to stick a pick in their arm, smoke a pipe, pop a pill, and they're going to use drugs and substances under your roof, is that okay? No, it's not. And it's not okay for them to go out and do that for 4 or 5 days and come back and sleep it off under your roof, because those chemicals that they're sticking in their system is slowly killing them. And as long as you continue to enable them and to come back and rest that off, they're not going to change. So you still love them, but say, listen, if you want to use those drugs, go out and use them, but you're not doing it while you're under my roof. You never give up on somebody.
Okay, so it's not abandonment. Are you looking for ways that you can use your own connections or encouragement, ways that you can help find solutions? Is that the way to redirect your energy?
You just love them.
You just
love them, and you don't judge them, because every time you go in their presence, you honestly can't believe one single word that comes out of their mouth. I mean, you can't give them lectures. Don't give them lectures, because they think that you're judging them. But you've got to position yourself in their lives where they run to you, not from you. And so they know what they're doing is wrong. They know that their body is losing weight. They know that their brain is fried. They don't need the family and other people to tell them, because they take it as a form of judgment, and it pushes them further and further into a black hole. I mean, they feel like they don't fit.
Can I just ask another question then? Now, we've been doing that. He was using drugs in our backyard and had to pack up and go away. So we've done half this good love, just tough love, or more than that, and certainly no money. But I do the lecture bit. I do say, because of text, and are you ready? Do you want to go into rehab? Should I not even mention rehab?
No, you just give it. This video that I've got, I don't engage in conversations until somebody's watched this video, but this video will show you everything that you need to do, and it will answer every single question that you have. And I say to people, when they ring my number, watch the video. Once you watch the video, if you're going to follow my instructions, give me a name and number. I'll store it on my phone, and I'll put must answer. And so as the family is following the instructions, they ring me at any time and I'll answer. But the first step is to watch the video, because I have thousands of people who ring me every week, and I have a team of people answering my calls. And if I've got to say the same thing to the same person every day, it does get a bit. So that's why I start with the video.
Oh, that's a very good idea. And certainly, how can I acquire that?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to give the website address and make that a connecting point, because there'll be others, undoubtedly, who'll want to get a hold of that video. And I'm going to point people to shalomhouse.com.au. Shalomhouse.com.au. Peter mentioned a book too called Tough Love. toughlovebook.com.au, designed to equip you and your family and how to successfully handle a person who's on drugs. So I want to especially honour and thank the grandmother, an anonymous grandmother, for a courageous call, and I know that there'll be lots of other listeners who'll be appreciative of your call, so thank you so much for taking some time to call in and just share your heart with us. So 1-800-316-316, if you'd like to join in our conversation, 1-800-316-316. Let's take another call. Wayne is in Perth, in Tasmania. Hello, Wayne.
Top of the morning, how are you?
Very well, Wayne. What are your thoughts here for our conversation, or do you have a question for Peter?
No, I've been through most of the stuff you're talking about. I've been through it already. And I realise that the best way to stay clean is to stay positive. I found the Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale is very powerful. You can talk yourself in and out of anything.
Wayne, good thoughts there, but I wonder if staying positive is enough. Peter, what are your thoughts? I mean, does church play a role in staying clean? Give us your insights.
So you can class addiction in 5 categories: A, B, C, D, E, and there's 3 E's. We only help a particular type of E, but church, for us, we don't use it just for people to find faith. We don't push religion down people's throats. You don't have to become a Christian to come here. But we use church to help our residents to reintegrate and re-socialise. So we are a rehabilitation centre that focuses on reintegration and re-socialisation. A lot of our residents, because they've come from drugs and substances abuse backgrounds, when they try to hang around normal people, they feel like they don't fit and that they're better than them. They project an image that they perceive, and so they go back to where they feel comfortable, but where they feel comfortable, everyone's using drugs. And so we go to a lot of church services to break down the lies that they've believed. When they start having conversations with church-going people, they realise that a lot of them people have come from the same sort of background that they have, but yet they've changed their life. So, church plays a strong part, not just in discovering faith, but also in reintegration and resocialisation.
Come back to Wayne in Tasmania. Wayne, what have you found? I mean, you say stay positive. Has church played a role in that? Did you have some misconceptions about what people were like in church? Or give us your story very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah, church has got a lot to do with it. God, we know God's powers are there. Like, you only have to pray and ask, and you will receive God's powers. It's pretty obvious that God is there, and you can see around. It's like it's obvious. There's a power. God's there. So you just got to pray, and just got to be careful what you pray for, because you'll get it. Stay positive.
Good. Wayne, I want to thank you so much for courageously calling in and just giving us your heartbeat there as well. Wayne in Perth in Tasmania, thank you so much for your call. Hey, I want to come back to Peter. Peter, Australian states are very busy decriminalising drugs, cocaine and heroin and methamphetamine. There's no more war on drugs. Australia has surrendered and there is no war on drugs. What's that doing? Do you have an opinion here? What's it doing to drug dependency of people in Australia?
Mate, I've just come back from a couple of weeks in the United States speaking at the Global Addiction Conference. So I went to San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and what I saw over there is completely unbelievably insane. There's a San Diego, outside the police station, there's 30 police vehicles and about 200 addicts smoking crack on the sidewalks. Wherever you go through America, everyone's smoking hydroponics. Pot, the stench of pot is just unbelievable. No matter where you go, you can't get away from it. There's cannabis selling shops on the side of the streets. There's kids who work in supermarkets at this age of 16 smoking these drugs, and you can see that they're clearly affected. The decriminalisation of drugs and substances is absolutely ludicrous. And most people that I deal with, the addiction started with cannabis. People think cannabis, it's just cannabis, but it's not cannabis anymore, because the amount of chemicals they stick in that cannabis to make the most potent strain. In America, you can order joints get delivered to your door like an Uber. It's absolutely sad, extremely sad. And if we allow that in Australia, it's the cause of all the mental health problems, the breakdowns of marriages. It's the drugs, the prescription medication as well, is just a blanket, the covering of the heart issues, the childhood trauma. How to fix a problem is to have a cone. And when it's not how to fix a problem is to have a cone, that's wrong.
And, of course, we're heading in the same direction, aren't we? Because, I know that there's 2 elections coming up that we'll be interested in, the ACT election and the Queensland election. And I've got to say that ACT and Queensland have something in common. They have decriminalised all of those hard drugs, and there is no more war on drugs. Those two, the ACT and Queensland, they are setting themselves up for some significant things, no doubt, for the future. Hey, taking calls, 1-800-316-316. See if we can squeeze another couple in. Barry is in Albany in WA. Hello, Barry. Welcome.
How you going, Neil?
Good, Barry.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Barry.
I actually employed by a disadvantaged homeless sleepover house in Albany. And I was wondering about your tough love, because we sort of, when they break the rules, we kick them out. I told them to leave for a little period, and then they allowed to come back. They're all sorry, but then they sort of get worse. They take more advantage, break the rules worse. What should we do in that sort of situation?
Peter.
Again, I'd watch that tough love video that I have, and that shows you who you're dealing with. So you can class addiction in the A, the B, the C, the D, the E. I probably don't have time to go through it on air, but it helps you understand where a person's at in addiction, and it depends on whether an addiction is what you have to do, how you treat an A or a B. You give them a lot more grace than you would a C and a D. A C and a D, they're just going to keep doing it no matter what you're saying. An E is someone that hits a brick wall and ends in a finale, but there's 3 E's. There's the one that wants to change. There's the other one that wants to go from an illegal drug to a legal drug. And there's another one we build prisons for. And so it's working out, are they A, B, C, D, E, E1, E2, or 3? And then you make a decision based on that. Here in Shalom, we only take in E's, and they have 5 options left: prison, mental health hospital, and morgue or rehab. All the families are being locked down. So that will help you to identify.
Yeah, we take anyone that's sort of in crisis, and then they get comfortable and start. They go away and have their benders and then come back. Should we be allowing them back if they go away for a day or two, or should we just, or should you tell them to stay away?
You'd know the answer in your heart. Basically, you're enabling them. It's like your kids living under your roof, and they're using drugs or they're using meth, and you say, well, you're using it. You go, I'm not using it. Yes, you are. You're not using it here, but you're using it at your mate's house. You're going on a bender for 5 days, and then you're coming back here to sleep it off.
Yeah, that's right. We get a lot of that.
Barry, thank you so much. I'm going to see if we can squeeze another call or two in, but Barry in Albany, thank you so much for calling in and asking an important question. 1-800-316-316, although let me just say, let's put a line under any new calls. Let's see if we can take these ones. Luciana is on the line with us. Hello, Luciana. Need to be quick. What are your thoughts?
Good morning. Well, it's a very interesting topic because I used to volunteer bringing food and clothes for the homeless in the city. I no longer do that because of my age. I don't have much energy. But there is another topic that I like to ask. I know a few people that they are heavily gambling addicted. Can you use the same method as dealing with the people on drugs than the people that they are addicted to gambling and the pokies and that?
Good question, Peter. Is that the same?
It is basically the same. So we have, out of the 160 people here, we have a lot of people with gambling addiction, porn addiction, PTSD, a couple of people from the war through PSD, anxiety, depression, not just drug addiction. And drug addiction is a mask or a blanket that covers over the trauma. And 90% of the people here, the result of why they are, or the root cause of why they are like they are, is childhood trauma. And so the drugs is just a blanket that helps them to cover up or to deal with their emotions. So we take the blanket off and then we deal with the heart issue.
Fabulous. Luciana, thank you so much for your call. Let's squeeze in one more, an anonymous caller calling in from Warwick. Hello, welcome along.
Yes, good morning. I'm just ringing up to thank Peter for the ministry that he has over in Western Australia. As a mother, anonymous mother, I experienced heartbreaking moments in my life, but God brought me to a place where I, as the mother with a mother's heart, had to totally surrender my life over to God so that he could do the work in our lives.
Wonderful insight. How important is it? Is there a success rate that you can even measure, Peter, of people who, because they're doing that, daily regimen, and that includes devotion in the morning, it includes going along to church. Is there any way you can measure what difference it's making that people finding God are able to get on top of those addictions?
Yeah, so we're 100% self-funded. And people say, what's your success rate? Well, we've got 14 years of data if someone wants to pull it apart. But how do you define success? Is it getting people free from drugs? Yes, we do that. Is it restoring their families? Yes, we do that. Do they find faith in God? Yes, they do that. Do they get 100% debt-free? Yes, they do. Does society pay for their rehabilitation? No, they don't. The resident pays for 100% of the rehab. And do we get them off Centrelink within 3 to 4 months? Yes, we do. Do we get all the tax sorted out? Yes, we do. We get them a car, a driver's license, and at the end, they just completely whole life, and it costs society nothing. If we can change one life at zero cost to anybody, what is the success rate?
It's very, very significant. While we've got our listener on from a smaller town, or it's a good-sized town, in fact, Darling Downs in Queensland.
Yes.
Listener, are you familiar with, what's happening in your town? How serious is this drug crisis or this drug epidemic?
No, I'm not actually.
Not so? Okay.
I'm not. No. We've only been here for a short while, so... But when I heard Peter talking this morning about the encounter he had with God, it just brought confirmation to me that as a mother, trusting in God is letting go totally.
Well, what she's saying there is God wants to help her son. God wants to help your son. He wants to help your granddaughter or your wife. But as long as we have our hands on, how can God get his hands on? And it's not until you actually take your hands off and that you cast your cares upon the Lord, that you trust in the Lord with all your heart, that you lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, that you pray by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, that you lift your loved one up to God, you take your hands off and you hand him over to him, the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords. And then when God does what he does it. He's like a logistical mastermind that can put 100,000 people in one place just for her son. And it's not until you let go and let God that things start to happen. And that's where she's at, and that's a beautiful place to be. But it's a hard journey to get there.
All right. I want to thank our caller, and it seems counterintuitive, but that's what tough love is. And it's an expression of love, to be tough with your love when it comes to someone who is under an addiction. Hey, time has run out. I do want to reiterate, there is a website where you can connect with Peter Lyndon James. He's the founder of Shalom House, just on the outskirts of Perth. You mentioned, Peter, there's a number of properties. You're overflowing with 160 residents, and there's plenty of room for more. Are you needing financial help? Is there something that you'd be calling on the community to say, hey, look at what we're doing, we want to make this bigger and we want to expand? Is there something like that that listeners can be aware of?
We never ask anything from anybody. We are a faith-based rehab. We trust God, and God, from the day we've started until even today, we lack for nothing. But we always appreciate any financial assistance, because it helps us to give us the ability to do what we normally can't over and above what we do. But anyone wants any more information, you can get me on Facebook or you can get us on the website. But any support we get, we are a registered not-for-profit charity, DGR status, charitable collections license. We don't take it for granted, and we steward it with honesty, integrity, transparency and accountability.
Well, no doubt we'll get a chance to talk again another day, because you've got basically a 5-phase program that you work through, and we're going to be talking about, no doubt, your book again on another day. We'll have you back, and we'll unpack some more things here, Peter. But your book is called Tough Love. You mentioned a video that you say this helps to explain what's going on in the life of a person who's under an addiction. No doubt there's some access to that via the shalomhouse.com.au website. shalomhouse.com.au. The Tough Love book, there's even a separate website for that, toughlovebook.com.au. Tough Love is designed to equip you and your family on how to successfully handle a person who's on drugs. But Peter Lyndon James, I want to thank you so much for taking some time to share these thoughts with listeners today on 2020.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to coming back.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.